Hello everyone, I am Nayangiri Gosavi and this is Current to Concept. Today we discuss Digital Personal Data Protection Rules 2025, India's next step in sovereign data governance, moving from principle to practice, from the 2017 Puttaswamy judgment declaring privacy a fundamental right to the Government of India's newly notified rules. Now these rules operationalize India's data protection architecture. And for UPSC aspirants, they sit at the intersection of polity, governance, ethics, economy, federalism, technology policy, and even international relations. So let's break this down together. Mapping the journey from privacy as a right to data protection. The intellectual starting point remains the Puttaswamy judgment of 2017. By recognizing privacy as part of Article 21, the Supreme Court placed clear constraints on the state. Any intrusion into personal data must be lawful, necessary, and proportionate. The DPDP Act, as they say, attempted to create a basic statutory framework, but it was intentionally broad. The specifics, how consent works, how breaches should be reported, what burdens apply to larger data handling entities were left open. This gap has now been filled. The Government of India has notified the rules, which brings operational clarity, emphasize simplicity of language, and aim to remain adaptable to evolving technologies. So what are some of the key features and innovation in the new rules? First off, they follow a phased implementation model. Some rules are effective immediately, while others come in after months. Notice and consent. Data fiduciaries, that is the entities that decide why and how data is being processed, must issue a plain language standalone notice explaining exactly which data is collected and for what purpose. To manage consent, the rules introduce consent managers, which are third-party Indian entities which act as a dashboard for individuals to grant, review, or withdraw consent. When it comes to data breaches, fiduciaries must notify affected individuals without delay and provide a detailed description of the breach, the potential harm, and the remedial steps. On children's data, the framework demands verifiable parental consent. For persons with disabilities, consent must come via a lawful guardian. Importantly, there are significant data fiduciaries. These must do data protection impact assessments, undergo audits, and face stricter norms for cross-border data transfer. Now, for cross-border data flow, the government retains power to restrict certain categories of data, a nod to data sovereignty. A data protection board is envisaged for grievances and adjudication as per the DPDP Act. The rules operationalize aspects like complaint handling and oversight. The explanatory note also affirms that the security measures like encryption, access control, logging, and data retention policies are expected, though the rules leave room for flexibility rather than prescribing the rigid technical standards. Let's look at some critical perspectives here. While the rules are a significant refinement, they also raise questions that matter for both policy students and exam aspirants. Number one, balancing privacy and state power. Legal commentators argue that while the rules recognize individual autonomy, the state's role in data acquisition remains vague. Number two, the limitations of consent-centric model. Studies show that many Indian internet users lack a true understanding of consent mechanisms. Cookie banners and pop-ups are often ignored or misunderstood. There's also consent fatigue. When users are bombarded with frequent pop-ups, their ability to make informed choices diminishes. In sectors like payments, some players such as the NPCI and payment apps have raised concerns demanding consent for every transaction is operationally difficult. The third one is the accountability gap. Analysts point out a striking gap in case of a breach. Data principal users do not necessarily get compensation. While violators pay fines up to rupees 250 crore, the law does not guarantee direct redress grievance mechanism to the individuals. On the flip side, there's little prescription of minimum security standards, allowing wide variation in implementation. Some analysts fear this could dilute protection. Number 4, the interplay with transparency, that is the RTI Act. Now, some critics argue that personal information of public officials could be shielded from the RTI queries by being labeled personal data. which raises serious questions about democratic accountability. When data protection becomes a shield against transparency, the trade-off could undermine public trust. And the fifth one is the AI and profiling risks. The rules appear underprepared for emerging risks. Algorithmic bias, AI-generated profiling, inference of sensitive data attributes. There is growing demand for AI-specific incident reporting norms. Now, let's quickly explore the relevance of these rules at national and global level. Nationally, the rules reshape India's digital economy, affecting fintech, e-commerce, edtech, health tech, and governance systems like Aadhaar-linked services. Globally, India positions itself as a major democratic digital regulator, comparable to the EU's GDPR, but with localization flexibility suited to the global south. Countries in Africa and Southeast Asia are already studying India's model for hybrid data governance. Then comes the part of UPSC mains integration. Here's how you can deploy this one topic across your GS papers, crisply and analytically. Under GS Paper 1, in society, the theme links to digital literacy, social vulnerability, and how unequal access to knowledge affects the ability to exercise digital rights, especially in the context of children and persons with disabilities. Under GS2, you can anchor discussions on privacy, state surveillance, data retention, and the limits of executive discretion using Puttaswamy and the DPDP rules together. When analyzing governance reforms, the rules help illustrate debates around institutional independence, public accountability, and the tension between transparency and personal data protection. In your GS Paper 3, these rules enrich answers on cybersecurity, digital economy regulation, data breaches, the artificial intelligence risks, and the emerging technological governance. They give you a contemporary example of how India is managing digital vulnerabilities and settling standards for responsible data practices. Under GS4, the rules help illustrate real-world ethical dilemmas: utilitarianism versus rights-based ethics, ethical governance, informed consent, and responsibilities of the institutions that handle sensitive data. You can integrate them into case studies involving data misuse or breach-related moral challenges. Additionally, the rules are extremely valuable for essays on themes like surveillance capitalism, data as a public good versus private right, and the digital citizenship. In conclusion, the Digital Personal Data Protection Rules 2025 represent a crucial stage in India's journey, from court-mandated privacy rights to structured digital safeguards. They also raise expectations for clarity and accountability across the digital ecosystem, while inviting sharper questions about state power, institutional autonomy, and future technological risks. For UPSC aspirants, these rules are not just another policy update. They are a compact, contemporary example of how India is redefining individual rights, administrative responsibility, and technological governance in a rapidly evolving digital world. So, if this session has enriched your perspective or your UPSC preparation, don't forget to follow the channel for more such timely updates. Thank you and keep learning.